Morning folks, hi, it's Rick from Rick's Review. What I'm going to do today is I'm going to show you the Android stereo that I installed in my 2017 Nissan Frontier. What I did was I pulled out the other factory stereo and put this one in its place. You notice I have a couple of gaps right here that I need to fill in. I'm going to do some custom work on the actual bezel itself. Basically, think of this as an Android tablet. You can switch anything you want on it, pretty much just like you would with an Android tablet. You can put any kind of clock you want, any kind of background. You pretty much work it just like it's an Android tablet or an iPad. For what my purposes are, I use Power Amp for my audio. It comes with a built-in audio player for MP3s. I use a built-in stereo unit. If I want to listen to music with my Bluetooth headset or with my Bluetooth to my telephone, I actually use this app. It also has DVR, so if I hook up an external camera, say like the one that I'm recording on right now, I can hit DVR and I can tell it to record to an SD card that I've placed in here if I want to, or to a memory stick, a USB flash drive that I plug in, because this has two USB inputs. And now I can adjust my amplifier. Any of these buttons are adjustable. You can put any button you want on there. They're all virtual buttons. Power Amp allows me, turn my volume down, Power Amp allows me to customize my stereo, put whatever I want there on it. This is back button. What I also want to show you is it has navigation built in. Now you can use any software you want, but the software that I chose is called Offline Maps. It's free software. It works great. I don't need any internet connection. I don't need to tether my phone to my stereo. It is just absolutely fabulous. The only downside that I have to it is the girl who speaks is British, and she speaks pretty plainly. She speaks great. She doesn't make it sound like it's a computer talking to you, but it does have a bit of a British accent, and she does say a few words that are not exactly used in America. Instead of calling it a expressway or a highway or a freeway, she calls it a motorway. Now again, I have Waze installed on here. I have Carta, which is another free GPS app, and I have Offline Maps. But what I did was I went in here and I customized it. You can go into the settings and you can tell it what you want to use for navigation. There's different apps that I have here. The app that I chose to use was Offline Maps. Now I'm going to put a link to everything I'm discussing today just down below. You'll see a link to the stereo, a link to the harness, a link to everything else that I have installed. I'm going to show you everything that I installed. I'm not just going to show you the stereo. That way, if you want to customize your car, your vehicle, you can customize it. Now, what I'm showing you is going to be for Nissan vehicles, but it is generalized and you can use it for pretty much anything you want. In my wife's vehicle, she happens to have a Nissan Altima, a 2012. Now, she doesn't have Bluetooth. I do have Bluetooth, but she uses the exact same stereo, just not with the Bluetooth capability. With the Bluetooth capability, on my steering wheel I can raise volume, I can lower volume. I set each one of these buttons to be able to pause, play, answer the telephone, hang the telephone up, get to the next track, and whatnot. So I have all those capabilities, and let me show you how those capabilities are achieved. Okay, the way these capabilities are achieved is by hooking up, in case you have Bluetooth, by hooking up from the original harness coming right out of the stereo, the OEM harness, and hooking that up to key 1 and key 2. The great thing about this is you do not need a PAC or an Axis ASC1 in order to achieve this. If you have a vehicle that doesn't use or if you have a vehicle that you're not going to install an Android head unit in. You're going to need those because they're preset. For example, a Kenwood, a Pioneer, an Alpine, something along those lines. Those are great stereos, by the way. But if you're going to use an Android head unit, especially these Chinese Android head units, they usually come already set up for pretty much anything you want it to be set up for. Just hook up to key 1 and key 2 right out of the harness, and it's going to allow you to adjust everything you want. All you got to do is go in and program what you want. Notice this wheel. I went in there, you hit one button, it pops up here on the screen, then you tell it what you want it to be, and then you're going to go ahead and hit save, and you're going to get on out of there. Now I already have everything pre-programmed, pause, the telephone, volume, and whatnot, everything's already pre-programmed. But my wiring harness, what I did was I bought 2, and this is because I didn't want to have to cut the actual harness coming out of my truck. I want everything to stay factory. So I bought 2 of these harnesses. I have it popped up there on the screen, and on one of them I used, but the second one I kind of cannibalized. I used these key removers that I purchased off of Amazon. Again, my link's there. And I removed a couple of extra wires from one harness to add to the other harness in order to hook up to my vehicle, so I could actually get it to do everything I wanted it to do. Again, I didn't want to cut the vehicle harness. I only wanted to use the adapter. I also bought 2 other adapters that plug into this adapter, which allow me to hook up these speakers. So I put the link there as well. You're going to need both of these sets of adapters in order to get this done, and it will work seamlessly. I also hooked up a backup camera, and that link is there as well. The backup camera, the one that I chose to use, does not have grid lines on it, or more precisely, you can turn the grid lines off anytime you want, on or off. And you notice I put it in reverse and everything comes on. No grid lines. Now, the stereo itself has the ability to add grid lines or take them away anytime you want. You can spread them, make them longer, do whatever you want to. In my case, I chose not to use grid lines. On my wife's vehicle, she likes the grid lines, so she wanted me to leave that ability on there for her. But the camera I installed, again, is down in my description. You can see this is the grommet inside of the engine bay, right next to the brake booster. Poke a small hole, you can run the lines in there through FlexLoom. FlexLoom is that black plastic that's surrounding those wires there. And I plug that into the back of the stereo and it comes on. But the last part you need to do is you're going to need to run a wire to the reverse lights, letting the stereo know that it is in reverse. So what I did is I wired through FlexLoom the camera straight up the firewall. I ran backwards a line, a single, I think it was a 14 gauge line, down through the FlexLoom all the way to reverse lights, tapped into the reverse lights, and then it told it, hey, I'm in reverse, go ahead and turn the camera on so we can see the camera. And then as soon as I pull it out of reverse, the voltage drops to those lights, it reverts back to regular stereo.